Yo, 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 what's going on, folks? Hey, I want to go over some fun stuff that's been happening in the markets right now, which is earnings season has started. So one of the things that you guys have probably noticed is that as earnings season comes in, you see a lot of stocks making powerful moves based on their earnings. And so Netflix has been really one of the good traders for the last few days, and it's been a really good setup for us. So this stock was actually pretty much near highs when it released earnings, and I used a really simple setup to start shorting this, and we've just been nailing it the last couple days, making some pretty good cash. I made about $1,000 on it today, and a little bit over $1,000 on it the day before, so yesterday, using a really simple technique that I think you guys will like. So, one of the things you'll see with this thing is the way it opened up after earnings is, on Monday, it was trending all day. And the day the earnings came out, you could see this thing, a good earnings, it'll gap up. Like, a stock like Netflix has like huge momentum, right? So if the earnings were hot, what's it going to do? Well, it's going to gap up pretty strong and, cruise off. But what this one did was it opened up flat right on the day from the previous day, which is obviously it's not getting received well. And so as soon as you break these lows, as soon as you fail here and start cracking supports, we're taking this thing short. So, I'm shorting all the way down here, the red wall, and we're taking this for that quick pop back down here. And so we ended up having a really good trade. And then you can see here you got this kind of bottoming pattern and you spiked off. And so, I ended up shorting like a couple hundred shares here in anticipation that it was going to fade off at this resistance. And I gave it a little bit of room, and as soon as it rolled back over and I got confirmation by this big red candle, I added a couple hundred more, and we ended up riding this thing down. I ended up covering most of them here at the VWAP, and then keeping like 100 for this spike down. But just tremendous range. I know a lot of you guys probably don't like trading $100 stocks. It's not the most ideal thing for most people. But one of the things that you have to think about that even my guys do in the chat room and stuff is that stock like Netflix, it could be $100, but if it's having $10 moves, then even trading 100 shares back and forth because it's really liquid, you're going to end up having $1,000 day. So you could have, a $5,000 account or $10,000 account and be whipping around 100 shares and really day trade it back and forth pretty well. But the beauty is this: so just because a stock is had a big flush on earnings doesn't mean that you take it off your watch list. So today is day 2, right? So, yesterday I nailed it for some really good gains. So today, day 2, what I'm looking for is some early morning strength. And so what you'll see on this bad boy is it's not just spiked up right in the morning and faded off right at this resistance level. And so you have that early morning strength, and the gap gets faded off, and the stock ends up being negative for the day and breaking under your MAs. And so as soon as that happens, I end up taking some short, a small position. Usually I'll do a starter of, a handful of 100 shares, right, and play this thing to the downside. And then I'll wait for secondary setups. What I ended up doing was, covering kind of into these flushes. And then as the stock popped into the VWAP, I'm reloading my short with the stop just above the VWAP, and then I'm riding this thing back down. And so as this thing was coming back down, I had a couple hundred shares short here. As this thing broke lows, I added another 100 shares here, covered some into the flush, added another 100 shares here, covered some into the flush, and while I'm still keeping part of my core position, right? Comes down here, add a little bit more, and then I actually even shorted down here on this bear flag, and this one I got out for a small loss, those last shares, as it kind of spiked up. But look, the beauty of a stock, once it has earnings, is it's going to have order flow independent to what's happening in the market. It's going to have its own range, its own volume based on the fact that you are marrying your technical factors with your fundamental factors, and that's a huge thing. And so as these patterns are developing, whether it's VWAP, red to greens, your opening ranges, or even just your simple bear flags, now we're sitting there taking up. And, it's not like you're going in crazy size or anything like that. These are liquid stocks. You can go in a couple hundred shares, a few hundred shares, and have yourself a decent day on it. And once again, if you have a smaller account, take 100 shares, right? You don't have to always just trade a dollar stock or something like that. Sure, it's fun, and we do it all the time, and there's action in those too. But there's a lot of different ways to make money. Think about movement, range, volatility, and then most importantly, the ease of getting in and out. Sometimes the smaller stocks can be the most unpredictable. They drop out of nowhere, and you end up with, you just end up getting smoked out sometimes. And I've gone both ways. I've had some of my best months ever trading kind of $2, $3 stocks, and my biggest losses I've ever had in my life have come from the same things. You'll see that pretty often. Like you guys see like this IGNX yesterday or something, where the stock is so hot. This is what happens with small cap stocks, right? Check this out, right? So this has happened. I saw a couple of my students get caught up in this thing yesterday. You know what? It opened up hot. It was at 214. It opened up at 3, ran to 4, then curled up, went to 450, and then boom, it got hit with some news, and it dropped from 450 to 3 in about 10 minutes. And you were all the way back down. So it's great if you were in first, right? But now if you're stuck in this thing, you're kind of all the way back to lows. And that can happen with small caps, and it's kind of one of those things that you just kind of deal with. If I see a hot one, I'll take it. But I have to always remember that, as many times as I've seen them work out for me, I've also seen this. Imagine you have even just a couple thousand shares of this thing, right? And you get stuck in this thing, and it drops $1.50, or taking a leak or whatever. I mean, it's like, whoop, there goes a good chunk of your account. And, a lot of people will say, well, you can use a stop loss or something like that. Well, I had a few students whose stop loss didn't even trigger because the damn stock dropped so fast that they don't even trigger, right? You may put a stop loss at 4 and put a limit at 390, and this thing drops so fast it's at 350. Once the trigger happens, you won't even get filled. So you've got to always be careful of that stuff. So hopefully that helps, guys. Earnings season's up. I had some cool trades in SPXY, which we'll go over tomorrow. But just fun stuff in general. There's been a lot of action in this market. This is what you want to see, right? You want to see big moves in the market, right? I don't care if the market's up or down, but what I want to see is range. I want to see some fun. And that's what we've been getting the last few days. So the market's back, and earnings season's here. So I'm anticipating this next month to just be epic. We're going to be smoking this out. So I'll be making videos and doing the stuff. And you guys let me know if you have any questions. I love talking to you guys. Take care.